Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Streggy, and today I have a review about a release that was released in 2018 about some earlier short films that an animated, shall I say, creator of motion picture comic-like style art to film that goes by the name of Dataman, but his real name is Joona Kopperoinen. And I hope that I got his name right this time. But after I'd reviewed several of his films on Movies Galore Milwaukee, and on YouTube with a couple of friends and alone, which he has put out copies of Lynn, the Forest of Hatred, Dust and Choke, and Swordsman Art, I believe that they're called. And he contacted me about seeing if I'd like to buy a very limited edition of some of his earlier short films on a compilation DVD called Psykotilogia 0, which doesn't have an IMDb thing, but he did the art for this thing. Look at that. That's actually kind of wicked. In any case, the director is from Finland. He has a Facebook, and it's the studios that he runs is called Troslang Studios, TROCELENG Studios, and this edition holds. And I believe that there is a VCD out of this collection. And evidently, when the artist was about 11 years old, he did an animation effort that he never finished, which isn't the first animation on this particular collection, but I'm going to start with the first short animation, and it's called Sotealokuva War, and in English it means war movie. Now, evidently, he animated some cartoonish like characters, where evidently there's a new leader of Earth. Apparently, he wants to move a lot of the people that are of Earth to a different planet because the Earth is overpopulated. So he takes his faction of army men and goes up against the people in the neighboring planet and destroys them, but destroys much of his own army as well. And a lot of the animation kind of reminds me of Space Invaders, of an Atari game in a sense. And some of the characters look like Lego people, but it is kind of funny, at least to me. I like how he evidently places all of these. Remember that game called Worms? That was it might have been an Atari game back in the day. It was all these little worms that had like cannons and whatnot. Well, it kind of reminds me of that. And you see these these two different factions. You got the general on the one side and the general on the other, and it's definitely bloody. I mean, it reminds me of watching something on stickdeath.com, which used to be fun and hilarious when it was on, but somehow that got, taken off line. But ultimately, the one general that wins and talks about what he won, he makes a comment at the end of the animation. What would have happened if he had actually, instead of taking over the world, what would happen if he took over the whole, universe? So, the next animation compilation is of a dying guy, and evidently there are 24 ways this guy can die, and the way it describes this. And that war movie, it at the end of the war movie, it says that he made this animation when he was the age of 12. Then going back to the dying guy. Now, in the beginning of the dying guy compilation, it says that it lets you know that he thinks that these were some poorly made death scenes. And I believe this was when he was in the earliest stages of his animation period. And so we see a man die by alien abductions and knives and swords and witchery. Definitely some odd, guy was nuked, these types of things, and it all looks very clip artish. But I found myself laughing towards the end of the compilation, and I thought it was kind of unique seeing some of this, very beginning stages of this animation artist. The next compilation is evidently a 3-part act of what he considered in Finnish, in the Finnish language. It is called Näyttämöitä, which in English it means stage art. Now, on a stage, we see some kind of a maiden. She is either tied to a tree or something like that, and a man is going up against a witch. And there's clouds in the sky, and evidently, somehow, ultimately, he saves the maiden, and they go off their separate ways. You see that they fall in love, and vice versa. The second act is where the witch ends up getting use of her magic and turns a chair into gold, and eventually turns the maiden to gold, giving her the magical Midas touch, in a sense. And in the third act, evidently the witch is sent to try to change the maiden back to her lively self, and evidently she has to go and procure this ring, and somehow or other the witch gets incinerated, and we are told that the artist could not come up with an ending, so alas, the art stands as is. Then we have an animation effort called Dance of the Christmas Elves, where evidently a little boy is told to not to be down and around near the presents. Let Santa come on his own, but he doesn't listen. And he goes and starts to go towards the presents that are under the tree. Well, evidently these two elves come out of nowhere and are dropped and somehow they put a star on a tree, and somehow the boy is flipped into whatever universe the elves come out, and out pop two more elves who are waylaid by some kind of dude with a laser gun, and the elves end up dancing to some kind of a tune, and somehow each of them die, and then it's kind of a Merry Christmas. My favorite of the animations is the stage art act thing was done when the director of these animations was about 11 years old. My favorite animation of all of these is actually the last animation, which is called "Almost Killed My Brother," where it looks like there's an it looks like a colored animation of a young man who is running home from somewhere, and he goes to swing on a swing, and then evidently his brother comes by while the young man is swinging, and somehow wraps the chain around that is on the swing around the brother, and somehow the brother breaks his neck, and you see the other brother in tears. You see that it goes dark behind the houses, and for some reason, this odd little animation is my favorite of the 5 little things that you see on here. Now, evidently, there are some trailers on here. Some VHS trailers of some animations that I have not seen from Trostling Studios. So I wonder if these are trailers that were made, just they weren't fully made, because these actually sound kind of cool. So I'm gonna go through and talk about each of these. The first trailer is Vanta Cheese Slicer Massacre. The second trailer on this edition is called Justly Killing Crocodile Rapists, which seems to have something with crocodiles raping people. And then the third one, I really want to see this one. This one looks fun, fun as all hell, and the title of it is called Strippy Strippy McThigh Highs Whipped Cream Surprise. And that's kind of a tongue twister, but that looks kind of like a sexploitation animation film. And at the end of these trailers, you see them on VHS, so you wonder if the director might have had these animations on VHS at one point. So, if anything, this is an interesting release. I'm definitely not glad that I paid $30 for it. I'm definitely glad that I paid $30 for it because it is unique. I hope that the artist can come out with very better and more in sync with some of the dark subject matter that he seems to come up with, and I hope that he continues to do what he does and not let anyone tell him not to, because I think there is a place for this artist, and I think as he goes on, he gets better and better. And I just want you to check out, see if you can find some of his animations on Kunikai. You can also find where you need to know about this director by going to Trostling Studios on Facebook. In any case, hopefully you like my description of this release, and hopefully you like my thoughts on this director's earlier shorts, and definitely check out some more reviews later on down the road. I definitely have some cool things planned to talk about here on this YouTube. Oh, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you ever get a chance to check these, at least the VCD out. I was able to get one of the more limited releases, and it is number 3, and it's basically 20 minutes of coolness. So I thought it was unique. In any case, like and subscribe, and hopefully you have a good afternoon, evening, or morning as you enjoy listening to my thoughts. Thanks for listening, and go out and enjoy them. In any case, like and subscribe.